Thank you, and thank you for welcoming me to Rev Road. I'm super excited to be here. I'm actually going to switch you.
Britney style.
Yes.
You got Britney style.
I got it all right here. Okay, so today we have Dennis Steele, and we are super, super excited. Dennis is the co-founder and the CSO of Podium, a company that he's taken from the attic of a bike shop in 2014 and is now considered the 4th fastest growing SaaS company ever. He started the company as a platform to help local businesses interact with their customers through text messaging and influence purchase decisions by streamlining the collection and management of online reviews. But that was just the beginning. So please put your hands together for Dennis Steele. Glad you're here. Okay, Dennis.
Oh, I might be muted.
Oh, unmute.
Yeah. Okay,
Perfect.
I'm on.
Dennis, we're super excited that you're here.
Thanks for having me.
And I kind of want to start out just getting to know you. Who are you? Where are you from? What's your family life look like? Just who is Dennis?
Awesome. Yeah, so I live up in Highland. I grew up in Tracy, California.
Awesome.
Came out to Utah to go to BYU. Thought I was going right back to California. Started at Podium about a year after I graduated in 2013. And stayed out here. So live up in Highland, have 3 kids, a wife and 3 kids, and live about 7 minutes from the office up there at the Podium building. And so, yeah, that's me.
Well, we're glad we got you back from California. I might have stayed out there, but I'm glad we got you back. So Podium in 2013. What is Podium? I know they do reviews, but what is kind of the full story of what you guys do?
Yeah, so Podium is a customer interaction platform.
Okay.
And that's grown a lot from where we started, right? We started as a reviews company. We'd help local businesses get reviews on Google and Facebook. But we did all that through messaging, mostly text messaging. And we got really, really good at messaging. And our customers started hacking our system a little bit to start messaging their customers. Customers started messaging back. And it was really clear that there was a ton of value there. So today, we're a full customer interaction platform. We help businesses deliver amazing customer experiences, similar to what you would experience using some of the platforms we love today, right? Amazon, Uber, DoorDash. Those types of customer experiences are what we're becoming accustomed to, and they're amazing. You get text messages all along the way. You know exactly what's happening. It's a smooth process.
Fully
it's all on your
involved,
phone. And so to use an example of what Podium does, right now, if for let's say a car dealership that doesn't use Podium, you'd go on their website and you're doing your research all over the internet. You get to their website and you probably have to fill out a form, put your name and email in there. And then maybe you get a call later that day or maybe even the next day. You get a call, you're at work, nobody takes phone calls from people that they don't know anyway, so it probably goes to voicemail. And then maybe they follow up with an email, right? Which it's really hard for me to respond to a business with an email, right? So businesses are still using that type of communication today. With Podium, you could be browsing on the website and it says, hey, text us. So you put in your name and phone number and start a text conversation with that business. You can leave your computer and be texting them over the next couple weeks as you continue your research. And you use that text message thread with that business all the way through the buying process. So you answer your questions, you go in, you buy the car, we ask you to review the business on Google, and then a few months later, you use that same phone number to text them about servicing your car.
Right.
So we're delivering those Uber-like, Amazon-like experiences. We're enabling local businesses to do that with their customers, and it's really powerful.
I love that. And it seems like you've really listened to the customers too. It sounds like they kind of hacked the system, yes?
Yeah.
And like they kind of showed you what they needed, which is awesome that you were able to listen to them. So in the early days of Podium, obviously you didn't start where you are now. Yes, it's kind of a journey. What did the early days look like more for you guys?
Oh man, so we really came up with the idea. So at the time that we thought of the idea, I was doing reviews for local businesses, helping them online, basically doing a lot of the things the product does today manually, going and looking at the review sites, emailing them if there was a negative review. So I saw that need. My co-founder Eric, his dad had a tire shop, and he was experiencing this problem, right? It was a great tire shop, but as we know, when you have a great experience at a business, you don't always think I'm going to go leave a 5-star review for this business.
Like never.
Right? Yeah, like never, right?
I don't think I've ever thought that.
Right. And so, Eric's dad was asking him to help him solve this problem of communicating and getting a representative view of his business online. And so we came together and we wanted to solve this problem. Mm-hmm. And we thought we could do it through messaging and through software. And so the early days were crazy and fun. There's kind of 2 phases. There's Eric and I in our little apartment office, basically his spare bedroom apartment, of us building the product and going out and going door to door to businesses here in Utah.
Wow.
And then we, got a little bit of funding and moved into above a bike shop down on Provo Center Street, close by.
Okay.
So yeah, the early days of building Podium, it was really just going out and trying to figure out what customers wanted.
Okay.
And like you were saying, listening to the customers is super important in that.
Yeah.
And Eric and I, we had tried businesses at BYU, and a lot of them failed. So we had this idea, we started working on it, we started mapping it out, and there's kind of this moment, I think, in the early days that really helped us understand that we had something.
Like a breakthrough moment.
Yeah.
The moment that you needed to know you were on the right track.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. What did it look like?
And so there's this moment we're sitting at my kitchen table, we're mapping out the product, we run into this problem that we didn't know how to solve it.
Right.
We thought, what would a business owner want in this? And we couldn't really figure it out. So Eric's like, let's just go sell it. Let's just go talk to a business and try to go sell it. See if someone would actually buy this, so we don't keep wasting our time if there's nothing here. And so pulled up our phone, looked up the closest mechanic, and at the time I was living in an apartment just a few blocks from here.
Oh, cool.
And so the closest mechanic was Honest One Auto, right? Just down the street here. So we look him up, we look up the owner, Bob, online. We walk in, we act like we have an appointment with Bob. Hey, we want to talk to you, Bob. So he thinks that he forgot about the appointment, so he takes us back to his office. And we start pitching him this idea, like, hey, we want to help you with your online reviews. We can text your customers in the moment, get a review for you on Google and Facebook. And, he definitely saw the need. And he was like, oh, this is amazing. If you guys can really build this, I'll definitely sign up for $300 a month. And so we were a little excited, and then he goes, and just to let you know, if you guys can really build this and pull this off, everybody's going to want this, and you guys will be millionaires. And we're like, okay, we totally played it cool. Oh, yeah, we think it's a good idea, too. So we'll be back next week to sign you up. And we walked out, playing it cool, got in the car, drove away like a block, pulled over. Yes! Did you hear what he said?
We're going to be millionaires.
He said we were going to be millionaires.
Yes, I love it.
Validation, though, right? You need to go get validation early on with your product. Mm-hmm. And that was a moment where we stopped trying to figure out a problem that we couldn't solve ourselves,
right,
but that we needed to go talk to customers for.
Yeah.
So we went and did that, and that was the turning point. That's where we know we could sell this. We're going to go all in. We're going to commit and go for it.
Yeah,
and so then that
that
next phase was kind of selling to businesses door to door and working out of the apartment and trying to kind of fake it until we made it a little bit.
I love it, the door-to-door hustle.
Yeah.
And I love, I think it was in our conversation that we had earlier, but just kind of a learning point from that first mechanic kind of situation is that sometimes it's too easy to focus on too big of a problem.
Yeah.
And so if you just narrow it down and you hone in and then take it and run with it and see what you got, then you're going to end up getting further than you would have in the first place, yes?
Yeah. A lot of times you don't have that full vision of what the software, what you're building can become. Mm-hmm. And it's just you need to focus on what people want, right? I think there was a lot of truth to that earlier about building too many features or building too many things you can't provide value in any one of them, right? And so part of how we're even in the position to build this amazing communication platform that's changing the way business is happening was really focusing and solving a problem 10 times better than what was being done out there. And that's another thing. Some people see businesses out there or solutions out there and they say, I could do it a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
But when you're really trying to disrupt something, you have to say, can I solve this problem 10 times better than what's being done? And that's really where you're going to be able to go and disrupt the market and get some traction.
Right. Okay, beautiful. So after that breakthrough moment, and after you started kind of disrupting the market, you went to funding and investors, yes? So what did that kind of look like for you guys? What was the process? How are your investor relationships?
Yeah, so that was interesting. We actually went back to a mentor we had at BYU, Craig Earnshaw. He was one of the mentors that was like really kind of straightforward with us.
Okay.
We took other ideas to him and he was like, guys, this isn't gonna work, don't waste your time.
Those are the best mentors.
So we wanted to go back to him, so we knew we weren't wasting our time,
Yeah.
and he'd tell us the truth. So we went back to him, and this time he was like, I think you guys have something. So he introduced us to some local investors, and we went originally to just go tell them what we were doing, right? Just get some feedback, maybe get some advice. But when we walked in, they were expecting like an investment pitch. And so we walked in and we didn't know anything, right? I think literally at that time, I think we went after the meeting and looked up like what a cap table was. So we were not focused on funding. We didn't know really what was going on at that time. But we kind of fought our way through it. We definitely had some traction with that early product. We had a high close rate when Eric and I were going into businesses. And so anyways, Craig Earnshaw, Kickstart, and Peak Ventures were our first seed fund investment. And it was $500K. We thought maybe we had tricked them and we were never going to be able to raise money again. So we wanted to really be frugal and save the money. And so we raised that round and then moved into an office here in Provo above a bike shop.
Bike shop.
Yeah, and it was the humble beginnings I think that every startup has, but no AC, no heat. we were in there. Actually, I think I have a picture of the bike shop.
Oh,
Actually, I have a video of Eric and I in the spare bedroom.
In the apartment?
Yeah.
The first
so let's
one?
tee up that video if we can.
All right, welcome to the Rep Drive headquarters. This is where it all started. We got Eric's space station over here.
Yep, the command
This is where a lot of
center.
the coding goes on. Look at he's got 8 windows open. It's amazing how productive he can be. Got my little station over here. I only have one monitor, but I'm good. Yeah, this is where it starts. This is where we make deals and make it happen.
There you go. Pretty simple. So this is us, this is that phase when you're kind of faking it until you make it. It was just us two. Every day, one of us would say, oh man, we'd run into a challenge. One of us would say, oh, this isn't working, let's pivot. And the other one would say, no, let's figure something else out and go to the next phase. I think the next video we did as an update was when we got a whiteboard in there. And we felt this is an upgrade.
Then you were
we have a whiteboard. Here's the deals that we're going to close on the whiteboard.
Love it.
After the funding, we moved into the bike shop. So there's an image of the bike shop. Not a lot of people in there. I think we grew to 15 people in the bike shop. But, it was a fun time. Every day coming in with a ton of energy, running into new problems and trying to figure it out and trying to scale.
I love that. So you mentioned in the video that you guys were doing your own coding. Yes?
Yeah.
So you guys learned how to code. Do you have background in tech? What is that? What does that look like for you?
Actually, after we started, we both took Dev Mountain.
Oh, okay.
We went through the Dev Mountain boot camp.
Okay.
And that was really fun. I didn't have coding experience. Eric had some. And so we went through this coding boot camp when we were working with some developers that were helping us build the first version of the product. And it was extremely helpful, right? Especially for me without having any coding background, really to dive in, understand the mechanics of building software, working with our developers, understanding the product. It really set a culture tone for our company today, which we feel is a completely product-driven company.
Okay.
That was part of what drove that, was just really digging in and figuring that out and understanding it from the beginning.
Okay, perfect. So then after your funding, you guys headed out to Y Combinator.
Yes.
How was that experience?
Y Combinator was really fun. In the early days when we were just in the apartment, we lived by kind of the essays that Paul Graham and Y Combinator put out.
Okay.
And he has these principles for startups from these essays that he writes, and they were kind of our inspiration of how we wanted to run our startup. So we'd been following it for a long time, and we started getting some traction. And so we applied and went out to Y Combinator. We took some of our product people out there, set up like a dev shop in the garage with a bunch of desks of this house we rented out there in the Bay Area. And it was kind of like a 3-month hackathon where we just focused on the product. Eric and I were able to go and listen to Airbnb founders and Pinterest founders and get coaching, and it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Obviously, in the whole process and the journey of starting a new company, there's tons of up and downs. And it seems like you and Eric still to this day have an amazing relationship, amazing friendship, partnership. And so how have you been able to balance each other? What have you done that's been helpful to make sure that your partnership in this company stays healthy and stays strong?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really grateful for the relationship Eric and I have. The co-founder relationship is so important in the success of a startup, and it's interesting. We balance each other really well with like our strengths and weaknesses, and that was really apparent from the beginning. It would seem like every time one of us was down and like wanting to like give up, the other one was encouraging them to like push through.
Okay.
So you definitely have that at the beginning.
Yeah.
We started working out together in the morning early on, and it's important to have something like that with your founder, your co-founder. And we did a partner workout this morning. We built a little CrossFit gym in our office.
I've seen that.
We have a coach come and like coach CrossFit every day for our employees. But still to this day, we go and work out in the mornings together and kind of have that friendship and that relationship. So that that's something that just kind of illustrates that along the way. But definitely that relationship is really key, and you hear how many companies kind of fall apart. And even at Y Combinator, we would see just companies just stop showing up, and we're like, what happened? They had like a co-founder issue, right? So luckily we never had that. We agreed on a lot of things. We've been able to support each other and have each other's back along the way, and it's totally worked out.
Good. So you mentioned the CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
Which when I saw it, by the way, I was looking in there, I would not know how to use a single thing in that gym, like not one thing. But I love that you have it available to your employees, because it seems like it's doing a workout with your co-founder, yes, Eric, is part of your culture with him.
Yeah.
And so I love that you implemented that into your culture as a company and to allow that bonding experience, I'd say, to all of your employees, yes?
Yeah.
So how, you guys are also known for that culture as one of the best places to work. And so how have you brought that culture into your company, and what does that look like? What's the ultimate goal for your culture, and what do you do to get there?
Yeah, that's a good question. So at Podium, I think the stat is 89% millennial. So we have a really young workforce.
Young group.
There's a lot of good that comes with that. There's a ton of energy and people coming to Podium to basically make their careers of what they want to accomplish at Podium. Part of that energy, I think, when you walk into Podium and you feel that culture, you feel everybody kind of there, like driving towards a purpose, comes from a couple things. One is we have a value called be a founder. And that is really for everybody to feel like they have full ownership over what their responsibility is.
I love
and
that.
They come in and they definitely do feel that ownership. And the way you see that is when you talk to an employee, and like me as a founder, I'm sitting there talking to them, or Eric's recognized this before, and you say, you honestly feel like they have as much or more passion for Podium and the vision and the product and providing value for the customers than
That's
even
exciting.
you do, right?
Yeah.
And you know that they've embraced like that piece of the culture. And the other aspect is, I feel like you have people, young people like that coming in, but even our experienced people, it feels like they're coming and they've worked their whole careers to kind of come to Podium and accomplish what they want to accomplish, or at least that's the mentality, right? Like, we have an opportunity to do something amazing here. And when people recognize that and they come in every day to accomplish that, it drives an awesome synergy and culture.
I love that. And we were chatting a few days ago, and you mentioned that customers are also a huge part of that culture.
Yeah.
Yes? So how do you also include your customers into the everyday culture at Podium?
Yeah, so Y Combinator has a theme that's build something people want, right?
Right.
And that definitely resonated with what Eric and I, as product-focused founders, we're all about. And so to this day, not just the product team, but close to all employees have a set amount of time to focus on customer research.
I love that.
And so I think the product manager is something like required 4 hours a week talking with customers.
Wow.
doing that customer research, seeing if we're providing the value, looking at the data. And really, you need that kind of guidance from your customers to figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And like was mentioned earlier, it's not necessarily asking them what they want, but just getting that feedback and understanding the value you're providing.
Right.
Super important.
Right, really crucial to
Yeah.
company growth probably.
Yeah, but it also translates to you as like an employee, knowing that you're building something that's actually
Right.
providing value, right? The effect you're having on these businesses and the way
Yeah.
we're transforming the way these businesses are getting business done and getting new business. And hearing those success stories. We have a channel in Slack called Success Stories
Love
and
it.
one called Customer Research. And these stories that go in there when we go and talk to these customers, or they send comments about how Podium's changed their entire business and their and the way they're growing. It gives you that sense of satisfaction
Yeah,
as
and
as
the
an
passion,
employee.
it helps build the passion too, I would say, for your employees.
Yeah,
Just knowing that, oh, we are actually doing something that's making a difference, and they can buy into that same feeling.
yeah, totally.
So that's awesome. Well, you're obviously a pro at getting to know your customers, and we just want to get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, as your success has built, what's one thing that you've been able to do that you otherwise would not have been able to do if you weren't where you are now?
That's a good question. You know, I think it's interesting. Like along the way, sometimes you don't even really realize what's happening, and it's funny. You see some founders where like you do a round, like the business does a round of funding, and it's like you think that is like funding is like a symbol of success, right?
Right.
And they get kind of crazy and they start spending their money and doing crazy
And
things.
then they need more funding.
Right. I think we've kind of, you know, at least myself too, has been disciplined along the way, not to get like that. But once you do experience some of that success, it's awesome. And I think one thing that's coming to mind is just this last weekend actually, took the kids down to Disneyland, stayed at Grand California, went like did the whole Disneyland experience for the kids. And it's cool to be able to do stuff like that now, where that would have been like a really difficult trip for us to do before, and now it's
Right.
like fun, and
Yeah.
and I can do stuff like that. So I think the biggest thing that I've experienced from that success is just being able to have experiences with my family, and then also with people at work. So traveling around the world, you know, as we started an office in Australia, and going down there and experiencing that. We've had to go to Japan to work with Google has their local reviews team out in Japan. We've got to go out there. So I think the experience is really what is the best benefit with family and with friends and coworkers that come from having success, is being able to go out and do like big fun things.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that you've kept the important people close to you
Yeah.
still, regardless of how big and great things get. Yes. Okay, so let's open it up for some audience questions.
Yeah.
Were you married when you started all this?
Yes, I was married. My wife was important part of supporting me in the beginning stages, right? We went like a year without a paycheck from my side.
She never asked whether you were going to get a real job?
No, she was pretty supportive of the entrepreneurial route. And actually, when we first started, you know, Eric and I were like, man, this is getting some traction. We're starting to get some success. And we were just joking about it the other day, actually, where, you know, at one point we're like, what if this could be like a $10 million business? Like, this would be amazing. Like, maybe we'd go for an opportunity like that or something. And I remember my wife saying, you're thinking so small. Like, what do you mean? Like, you guys can build like this like amazing company. And I think she had some inspiration. She was working at different tech companies here in Utah, and was like, you guys like can do it. So she's always been like super encouraging along the way. But definitely that first year when Eric and I were in the apartment, both our wives were supporting us. We weren't bringing home anything for a while. We were just like putting the revenue back into the business. So that was an important part of it. Yeah. So wasn't married, no kids when I started. Now I have 3 kids under 3.5. So been busy on that front as well.
Busy.
I was trying to grow the family as fast as the company, but no. But yeah, it's been fun.
You got a lot more Disney trips.
Yeah, more Disney
A
trips
lot of
down
Disney
the
trips.
way.
On that same front, how are you doing the business family balance?
Yeah.
What's been kind of your golden ticket in that sense of, I think I got lost here. Here we go. Of how to find that balance.
Yeah, I think, so there's this common, I would call it probably a myth of an entrepreneur being like completely tied up with making the startup work, right? Of just putting in hundreds of hours a week, or you're not doing what it takes to build a real startup. You know, there's definitely been times, and you know, even times now where a ton is required, right? Traveling, being away from the family, super long hours and weeks, right? But that balance is extremely important, and we've had that culture at Podium from the beginning of making sure that you're having your life in balance and you have like a good work-life balance. That's one thing actually that ties into the culture really well. If you ask a Podium employee, they probably will say, I've never worked harder than anywhere else in my career, right? I've never worked harder than I have at Podium, but I've also never been more satisfied. And trying to find that balance and that combination is hard, but when you can, it's amazing. I think we've been able to find that a little bit at Podium and making sure that you do have a good balance, because if you have a good balance at home, you're going to be successful.
Exactly, and vice versa.
At work and vice versa, right? And so, yeah.
Okay, I love that. Question here. Let's wait for mics, yes? Yes.
I can repeat the question.
So I love Podium, and it's amazing to see how fast you guys are growing. I have a question around your hiring process. What is your philosophy when it comes to hiring, and how did you hire your first 5 employees?
Yeah, so great question. A lot of the first team, Eric and I didn't really know how to hire anybody, right? We were a year out of school and didn't have a ton of experience. So we relied heavily on our investors to help us out. So Sid was our board member that came on from Peak Ventures, and he helped us hire from his like own personal network. He helped us hire like half of our initial like team that we started with. He would interview them and help us as an investor. And that was really good guidance on basically how to choose people to bring onto the team. He even had people that were like our VP of sales, Stan. He was like, we talked to him really early when we were in the apartment, and it was too early because he didn't join us then. But then he joined a year later. But there was a time when Sid was like, I have somebody for you, but you're not ready for him yet. And we needed to like establish some trust with him before he introduced us to him. But he was a game changer. But I think in the early days, it's a lot more of a gut decision, right? Like it's when you're coming to the table with 4 or 5 people, there has to be a special relationship there that you can develop with everybody at the table. And bringing those personalities together is the culture you're going to have. And so gut plays an important part of that, right? And I think that's even reiterated with some of the philosophies around Y Combinator and what they teach there. So that would be for the founding team. And those early members, right? One example of that is our president, Adam Edmonds. He came on about a couple years in, about a year and a half into the business, and he was mentoring us as an advisor. We kind of built that relationship. We knew we got along really well with him. He had a ton of experience and to bring to the table and could help us like scale on things we didn't know how to do. And so spending a lot of time with people before you make those hires and making sure you have that relationship down, you really know that person in the early days is really important. So just, I think in the early days, taking as much time as you need before you make a hire, not feeling too desperate to just bring somebody on so you can get to the next level.
That's good. That's good.
What do you see as the future of Podium? Do you see yourself staying in like the service industry, or do you think that there's any potential to break out into like e-commerce reviews? I can't speak, but yeah.
Yeah, great question. So as the platform has been built out and we've expanded those features, we've been able to go after more and more of the market, right? And it's opened up new industries and new verticals for us, new types of businesses. So I think, e-commerce and different verticals that before wouldn't be a perfect match. Now that we have more features as part of the platform, we'll be able to service more companies for sure. I think we'll probably always have like a really strong base in local business just because they've been so underserved with the type of technology we're providing. But it will definitely expand from there as we build out the features. Yeah.
Perfect. We have 2 more questions on the side room.
So I actually got a chance to meet and chat with Sid from Peak here a
Oh,
couple
cool.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I asked him an interesting question. I said, if you could, they got many companies they've worked with. I said, if you could work for any company for free for a year, who would you work with and why? And he said, I would work with Podium and I'd just follow their CEO around and their CFO around all day. Why did he say that?
Yeah, so I think hopefully he really meant it. I think he did. Yeah, so I think Sid's just seen from the beginning that Podium has something special, right? And that we've been able to do something special. And it's not like to Eric and I's credit, really. At least we don't really feel that way. When you ask us, like, why has Podium been so special and had so much success, it really comes back to the people we brought on, right? So I would say that following anybody around at Podium for a year, you could learn a ton, right? Because that person's going to have to scale a ton, right? So we've gone from, Eric and I in that bedroom to we just hired, I think, 530 employees we're at right now in our building up in Lehigh. So in just the last 4 years, right? So everybody we brought on, right, at each of those stages has had to scale immensely. We've built on top of people that maybe weren't even expecting it, right? And they've had to stretch and be challenged, and that you don't get that opportunity at every type of company, right? But when you're in that growth phase, you learn so much, and you have to step up to so many challenges every single day. And so maybe that's why he said Podium, is because we are moving so fast. Actually, I have one more picture that I submitted that I thought I might want to use. It is basically how it felt like in the early days of Podium, or maybe this whole time at Podium. I wonder if they were able to tee that up, or that came in. Maybe it didn't come in. Okay. But yeah, it's been intense. It's been really fast growth, and with that comes a lot of personal growth to stretch to meet that.
Eric, why don't you describe that picture to us?
Huh?
Describe that picture.
It's Eric and I. We are actually.
Dennis.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, there it is. That's what it's felt like at Podium, if anybody's wondering. So, yeah, and sometimes, like, scaling as a founder is really difficult, right? Because, one day it's just you and your buddy trying to, like, make an idea that can make some money, right? Have an idea that can make some money. And the next day you have, like, 500 employees and experienced executives and board members that include, like, Google. And, there's a lot that comes with that. So that's kind of what it feels like, I think, for everybody at Podium sometimes. But with that just comes a ton of growth. Yeah.
I love that.
You've given some insights into some of the challenges at the very beginning, but I think one of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs kind of don't get with a story like Podium's is that there were undoubtedly times when you thought, this is over, this is not going to make it, we're dead. Can you think of an instance of that where it looked pretty bleak and how you got through it?
Yeah, great question. So there's 2 that come to mind. One is really early on when we were in the apartment office. Eric and I, we wanted some inspiration and we wanted to go get exposed to, like, a little bit of the tech community, the startup community. So we went to this launch festival out in San Francisco. We actually drove there in my old, like, car, and we drove from Utah to San Francisco to go to this tech festival, like, launch festival thing. So we went there, and we were driving back, and we had just heard all these awesome ideas being pitched at this festival. And we started thinking, like, maybe our idea wasn't that good, right? I think we even had, like, 15 customers on Podium at that time, and we were making money. But we thought, oh man, maybe there's a better idea out there. And we started thinking about this like, restaurant ordering app thing, and we almost pivoted. We almost, like, got really excited about this idea and, like, thought, yeah, you know what, let's go after that. So we started like talking about it, how we would build it, and then we're like, no, let's see a little bit longer if Podium's actually kind of going to be the thing. So yeah, sometimes you get disillusioned early on, right? You think there might be better ideas out there. You might think that you're not getting the traction you want, and you want to like go do something else. But it's important to kind of like really see through the vision that you have and the value you can provide. The other story is a couple months in, this was probably a little bit after that happened, we had been getting these car dealerships reviews online. And Google changed something, and we got a call from one of our customers, and he said, hey, you guys were doing really good for us. You got us up to like 30 reviews on Google, but we have 0 now. And just wondering what happened. And we're like, oh yeah, sometimes Google, they change things, and we'll have to look into that for you. And we hung up the phone. We're like, well, that was fun. Like, what's the next idea, right? And I think those are the moments like, Eric's like, I think with that situation, Eric was like, okay, we're done. Like, we need to like think of a different idea. I'm like, we can figure this out. Like, we'll be able to figure this out. And then the next week, it was probably reversed. I was probably saying, let's go try to do something else. And Eric was like, no, we can figure this out. Like, let's go solve a problem. And so part of that in the early days is having somebody that can support you and kind of work through those tough times that feel kind of bleak. And that, but I think overall with Podium, we've had pretty good market fit, and we've had just a lot of growth along the way too. So I know other companies have had more challenges than us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dennis, what a ride. And
Yeah.
you guys are doing some incredible things. You built an amazing team, and you've got a phenomenal building on the freeway now, and a great partnership. What is the thing, as you look past, back at this whole journey, that you're most proud of as it relates to Podium?
That is a great question. Most proud of. I think what makes me like feel that is when I get to go talk to the employees we've hired. I don't want to get emotional, but when you get to start something and build something, and then you see people move across the country when it's only a 3-person startup above a bike shop in Provo. And our VP of sales moved his family across the country. I don't even know if we had health insurance at the time, right? You feel so much pressure, right? Because you think, man, I really hope I even believe in this vision of what we're building, right? And this guy's moving his family across the country and like quitting his awesome career to come join this and build this with us, right? So you feel that pressure. But then when it works out and you have that success, and they come to you and say, thanks for starting this and providing this type of opportunity, I think that's what gives me the most sense of pride, is just being able to help change the lives of people that have joined Podium. And then also our customers, like knowing that you're changing businesses. One of our very first customers, he was a huge advocate. He was like a new dentist out of college, and he just bought this new dental practice, and he got on with Podium. And over like the next 3 years, he stuck with us. He bought every feature we came out with, and he expanded his practice to like 3 dental practices. He was running this marketing summit on the side, telling people how he was growing his practice, and he attributed a lot of it to Podium. And that gives you a lot of pride too. Like, we helped this guy, build a business that grew. So it was awesome.
Is there a hand in the back? No?
Any other questions?
Cool. Oh, we have one more.
How did we come up with the name? Great question. So we were originally Rep Drive, which was kind of a funny name. People thought we were maybe like a sales company or something, like a sales rep company. And we realized we had to change that name because we were sitting there in the bike shop, and our first sales guy, Chase, he would be talking to somebody on the phone, and he would say, yeah, I'm with a company called Rep Drive. And they'd say, Rep Ride? Rep ride? But what? And he'd have to spell it out for him. And it was really tough. So we realized, there's probably a better name for that. And so Podium, we worked with somebody to come help us with branding. He's like really good at that, and he kind of worked with Eric and I to figure out this new branding, this new name. But what we wanted to accomplish with Podium, kind of the idea behind it is giving the customer a voice, right? A podium, a platform to be able to speak. And so for the business and the customer, we're kind of providing that platform or that podium for them to do that on. And then also it's just really broad. We knew we were in reviews early on solving that problem, but there was something a lot bigger that we wanted to build. And so we wanted a name broad enough to be able to expand the product and have it make sense. And I see that a lot actually with a lot of like early startups and entrepreneurs is maybe worrying too much about the name early on because you shouldn't spend a lot of time on the name just before you validate and get something started. But like picking a name that's too narrow and that really kind of silos you into one specific thing.
I love that, giving the customers a voice.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, we are so glad that we had some time with you today. So thank you for coming. Do you have any other last words of wisdom that you would like to share with us?
No, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Feel super lucky to like be a part of like Podium and have so much success. And so anytime I can help like entrepreneurs or other startups, love to like give advice. So happy to like talk with anybody after it or whatever. One of the things that Y Combinator talks about is when you look at the success of a startup, it's all these different factors, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the product, timing is a big factor, execution, people. You have all these different factors, but one of the factors that makes up this equation for success of a startup is luck. And they say, this luck integer is basically this random number between 0 and 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And we must have hit 1,000 on this one because we do really feel lucky. But we're really grateful to everybody that's helped us along the way to get here. So,
Beautiful.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. Dennis, thank you so much. Bree, great job.
Thanks
you,
so much.
Dennis.
Yeah.
A couple of things to stand up here, Dennis. We have just a small little thank you for taking the time to come today.
Thank you.
Great words of wisdom. Rob, thanks for bringing up the hard times. Sometimes it's important for everybody to hear that there are some bumps along the way.
Definitely.
And you made it, right? And you're still willing to give back. Some of the things that Dennis shared that stood out to me was customer. You are very customer-centered, and it makes a difference in the lives of the customers and the employees. And who else would you rather ride a roller coaster than with your co-founder, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Literally.
Awesome.
Thanks,
you so
Dennis.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bree. Super fun, valuable tips. Thank you so much. Okay, quick reminder, next month, April, spring break, no review. That's the 1 month we forego in the year. Everybody gets to take off with their kids and head out of town. So no review for next month, but the next one is May 2nd. And we have a really, really special guest, Rachel and Drew Parcell. Who knows Peak Peonies? Has anybody heard? Okay, I like to see the guys' hands. Nice. Rachel Parcell and Drew are great friends, and we've got some scholars in the audience who know them well. And they will be here on May 2nd to be our featured founder. So make sure you put that on your calendar and you join us. We'd like to thank our amazing support team, Elisa and Ben. Let's give a big round of applause to them for setting all this up today. And Kevin with Sarah Nimbus, thank you for lunch. Thank you so much, guys. Oh, Kirby. Thank you, Kirby. I can't get names today. Sorry, Dennis. I know you're... I've been practicing, trust me. I love it. Guys, thanks so much for coming. Make sure you grab some lunch, stick around, get to know another person, make some great connections today, and we'll see you in May.